folks, and welcome to this episode of Jay's Tip of the Day. This video is now another addition to the 308 cartridge of reloading it. I'm going to be demonstrating how I reload one round of 308 cartridge here on the Lyman 550B. This video will be really specifically for the beginners who just started reloading and really doesn't know what is going on. Now at the end of me making one bullet and explain to you what I'm doing and how I do it, I'm going to be showing you the Lyman reloading handbook, and I will help you interpret the information that is in the portion that I had a little bit of a hard time 10 years ago. But wait to the end of the video for my new reloaders so I can explain to you the information that is very important to help you in your journey and preparing your battlefield for success when you're reloading ammunition. Now here is a once fired Winchester brass casing. So I need to resize this and deprime this in my Lyman 550B press, so I'm going to demonstrate that now and explain to you what it is doing when I'm resizing it, depriming it, and putting a new primer in. So you take your once fired brass, make sure you lube this, folks, because if you do not lube it, use some type of lube, I don't care what you use, it will get stuck inside of your die. This is a full length sizing die here, and when I first started doing this, I forgot to put lube on a case and it got stuck in here, and I ended up destroying the die and I had to buy another one. So here on my Lyman 550B, I just put the once fired Winchester brass in here. It's pretty simple. You just pull the handle down and it'll resize it, deprime it, and then bring it back down, and then I push the handle forward and it will put a new primer in. Okay, so that is now completed. I'm just going to pull this out. And what I normally do here is I'll look at the primer to make sure that it is flush all the way into the casing. And it's fine. It looks good to go. So I will now move my case to the next stage, or the actual step or the station, just by moving or indexing my shell plate over to section or stage number 2, and this is the place where I'm going to actually put a shot of smokeless powder into my case. So it's pretty simple, folks. All you got to do is just pull down the handle. When I do, it will put in gunpowder into my case. Now, the interesting thing is here, since I am a perfectionist and I'm going to try to get everything exactly consistent for every bullet that I make, I actually will now spin this and take this out of the press, and I'm going to manually weigh this to see exactly how much smokeless powder I have in there. So what I do is I take my trusty little digital press here, and then I normally know this is 96.9 or 97.0, 97.1. That's normally what the weight of this thingamajig, I'll call it that, is. I'm just going to zero this out, get it to 0, and then I'm just going to pour the smokeless powder that I just put in here, and I'm 41.5. I load mine right now at 41.5, so it's going to be off a little bit. So I'm going to use my little Hordney powder trickler. This thing's pretty good. It just trickles a few pieces of powder in there, and then we'll just wait to see when it moves, because I need exactly 41.5 grains of smokeless powder. And bingo, 41.5 grains of IMR 4064 smokeless powder. So that's it. I normally let this sit here for a little while, a couple of minutes, just to make sure that the scale doesn't move, because I want this exactly at 41.5 grains of powder. At this point, I will now hand pour the 41.5 grains of smokeless powder into the case. So you're going to need a funnel, and obviously the powder is still in here from the digital scales. I normally do this just to make sure there was no grain or smokeless powder that got stuck in here from the original charge. Take the funnel on top of the case, pour the smokeless powder in, make sure I get all of it in there, and And that's it. 41.5 grains of smokeless gunpowder. So I will now take the gunpowder that I put into each of one of those cases that I made, put it back into the press, and then what I'll do is I'll now index the shell plate over to station or stage 3, and this is where I push the bullet into the case at the preset depth. Now the bullets I'm using are the Sierra Match King 168 grain bullets. A little bit expensive, but they work real good for my Howard 1500 rifle. So all you gotta do is I'll just put the bullet right on top of the case here and just pull the handle down firmly all the way down, and that's it. So there you go. This is a 308 cartridge reloaded with CCI primers, a Sierra Match King 168 grain bullet, and the overall length on this is supposed to be 2.845 inches, and the overall length from the O drive is 2.270, but I'm going to check this right now just to show you. Alright, so I'm going to check the O drive overall length, and if you guys watch one of my prior videos, the O drive overall length is basically the portion of this bullet here, that's the thing that flies out of your firearm where it comes out of this case. There's a portion around here that actually touches the lands or the rifling inside of your barrel of your firearm, so it's somewhere right around here. So what I'm trying to do is measure the overall length to see how long the bullet, the whole bullet is, because I have mine preset. All right, so it's 2.270. That's normally where I set that at. So that's the overall length. That's the distance from the O drive of the bullet to the rear of the case. And then what I like to do is I don't want to take off this Hornady comparator tool. I'll just turn this around, and you really don't need to do this, but I still do it just to see what the overall length from the tip of the bullet to the back of the case is, and it's 2.845, and that is exactly how I set the depth length of my bullet on my press. So this is right on the money for what I like my bullets to be for my rifle when I reload the 308 cartridge. Okay folks, this is for the beginner, someone who had just started reloading and they have their own Lyman reloading book. You can get this information off the internet too, folks, but I've been using this for the last 10 years and it has never failed me. So what I normally do when I start reloading a new cartridge, I'm going to open up the book and go to the page for the cartridge that I'm reloading. So I already got this bookmark here, and I'm reloading the 308 Winchester. So I'm going to zoom in to the specific bullet that I bought and I've been reloading. Now I'm going to explain to you what this graph is, because some new reloaders don't understand this, which I didn't 10 years ago. I had no idea what any of this meant. So when Lyman tested this bullet weight, they used 168 grain jacketed HPBT, which basically is this bullet here, the Sierra Match King. It says right there, folks, 168 grain HPBT. There's 100 bullets in this box. So I am using the bullet that they tested for their reloading graph manual here. So columns that go down. Powder, suggested starting grains. This is actually the weight of the gunpowder you're going to put in your cartridge. Velocity, feet per second. Pressure. Over here this is the max load grains, the actual weight of the powder in your specific cartridge, velocity, and the pressures. I try to stay away from this, folks, because if you load this here, which is let's just IMR 3031, and you put 42 grains or more, like 43 grains or 44, they're recommending that anything higher than this, you're going to be hitting max pressure, which is bad, because you get too high, you could have signs of pressure, overpressure on a cartridge. If you get way too high, you could blow up your gun, so be careful. So this is what I did. I bought the IMR 4064, and I also bought a pound of IMR 4895. I haven't used this yet. I've been using this because I bought 2 pounds of this. So what I do when I want to test, suggested starting loads, I go here and it says 40.0 grains. So what I'll do is I'll make 6 rounds at this weight. Then I'll make 6 rounds at 41 grains, 6 rounds at 42, and so on and so forth. And I try to get nowhere near 45 plus, because I don't want to get anywhere near the max pressure. And I never actually got to this point, because I ended up going between 41 and 42. Then I quickly realized I needed to go to 41.5, and that is the actual weight of gunpowder that I'm using for my specific hand load. 41.50 is works perfectly in my bolt action rifle. I'll show you now why. I wanted to show you load development. I shot 40, 40 and a half, 41 and a half, 42, 42 and a half. So I just wanted to show you one piece of paper and try to make this video quick. This is 42 grains of powder. You can see here the 6 rounds is all over the place. This is well close to 2-inch group at 100 yards. This is not good for me. This is not satisfactory for me at all. I knew 42 grains wasn't going to work, but I will show you this. And this is 41 and a half grains. Now, please disregard this bullet hole here because this was not the powder, the bullet, my rifle. This was me. I pulled this as soon as I pulled the trigger, I knew I missed. So disregard that one. But if you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 bullet holes literally in the same spot. This is under a ½ an inch. And these little squares here, these grids, is a 1-inch square. So this is well under a ½ inch MOA. So this is how I decided that for my rifle, it loves the 41 and a half grains of the 168 grain bullet that Sierra makes. So when you're doing load development, you have to try different weights of powder so you can get this. And I want to show you one more thing here. When Lyman made this book, you'll notice that one powder is in bold. And this basically says that they think, or they suggest, that this specific powder will be the most accurate when using this bullet. I've never used this type of powder. They didn't have it in Bass Pro Shop, so I did not purchase it. So a lot of my friends and people that I hang out with and shoot long distance, they're using some form of the IMR powder or the Vargrit. So I ended up, just like I said, using this because this is all they had at the store. And I do have some of this, which I'll be using here after I run out of that. But right now, I'm locked in at this powder, 41.5, and I'm nowhere near the max pressures of 45 grains. So I will chronograph this here soon just to see what the pressure is here. Actually today when I go to the gun range. Well, there you have it. Thank you for watching this episode of Jay's Tip of the Day. If you have any questions or suggestions, please add it into the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I'm going to close out this video like I normally close my videos, and I haven't been doing it in the last couple of videos, is by my motto, and that is prepare the battlefield for success. Thank you.